Thank you. Go ahead.
And I'll follow along with it, but I'll kind of skew from it as well. My name is Douglas Morrow, Harwinton, Connecticut. I'm a father of two wonderful, beautiful children, my son Jackson Morrow and Corinne Morrow. They're both teens. I love them very much, and I have not been allowed to have any meaningful contact with my children in over 5 years. Without my request or full agreement, Attorney Michael Fasano Sr. was appointed GAL post-judgment for my children in 2008. Prior to this, our first divorce decree, or the original, was formulated and signed off on in 2003 for a shared physical custody plan. That was in place for 5 years, and it was wonderful. The children enjoyed having two households. We both lived in the same town. I was brought back to court numerous times by my ex-wife on frivolous stuff. I did fall behind on child support at one time, which I didn't consider frivolous, but I was having some financial difficulties. There were certain things that she did where I had a schedule at one time where at night, and instead of letting the children be with me in the daytime, she would put them in the daycare. And even though I didn't have a high income, she would want me to pay for half the daycare as well, which I did to the best of my abilities. The GAL billed, once he was assigned, it was really a fiasco. He billed me beyond my abilities of what I could afford at the time, and I made it clear to everyone at the time he was appointed I was out on short-term disability, not making that much money, and no one really seemed to care. The final billing from the GAL amounted close to around $35,000. That was over 5 years.
5 years. I was going to ask for what period? 5 years. Thanks.
And the GAL actually met with the children less than a total of 5 hours in the 5 years. The GAL continued to not be available for numerous court dates due to conflicts of his busy schedule. There was an ex parte order entered which precluded me from any access to my children on the false allegations that I was mentally ill, at which time I was put into supervised visitation with the children for 1 hour a week with Angelo Ferenga of Watertown, which after 6 visits he basically wrote a report favorable that's saying that the children and I had good interactions. And Michael Fasano, I heard that guardian ad litems can't put motions forward, but he put a motion that there was a psychological evaluation done, which I took, and that took over probably a year and a half before the guardian ad litem approved who I could go see, at which point I had at least 5 different doctors that were all saying that there should be nothing that precludes me from access to my children. We had a loving relationship. It was just destroyed, and the whole time parental alienation was going on. There was a court order where during this time of the visitation we languished in this 1 hour visitation for over a year, and that contributed to the alienation to make my children think there was actually something wrong with me. There was supposed to be weekly emails that the mother encouraged the children to send to say hello, and she would send them from her work computer during work hours during the day that said, "Hi Dad, see you soon." Corinne, "Hi Dad, see you soon." Jackson, she sent the same consecutive emails for over a year. The guardian ad litem was aware of all this activity, and he chose to do nothing. He looked the other way. He didn't want to get involved, and if I questioned it, I was put on notice that I was just being a pain in the neck. In his quest to pick up a psychologist for the evaluation, instead of making phone calls, he would send regular mail out to doctors trying to solicit them to do an evaluation, which was, none of it was paid for by any insurance. When it was finally said and done, Dr. Howard Krieger of Waterbury did the evaluation. His final report was that there was no illness, sickness, injury, no conditions of any sort that should preclude me from my children. And at that point I thought, oh good, I'll finally be back with the kids. And it was exposed that my ex-wife was making up lies. Well, that didn't happen. They just continued to languish in court, continuances after continuances. The guardian ad litem was aware of a conflict of interest in the Litchfield court system, that a judge and my ex-wife's lawyer were former business partners, and the judge is also almost next-door neighbors to my ex-wife. No one cared about that either. I was just causing trouble.
So, are you currently in the court system, or are any motions pending?
My motion I put motions to have the children brought in for reunification therapy. It was ordered at one point, wasn't followed through on. Parental alienation existed all along, and instead of using Dr. Krieger, they suggested we use a social worker, and she visited with the children and I 2 times, and then she went out of business, and Michael Fasano's answer was that, oh, he just give it time, and he hasn't talked to the children in over a year. He admitted it. He never visited my house. He was given a list of 5 brothers and sisters that I have, my mother, father, step-parents, one which recently passed. He never contacted one of them for any type of testimony, but he continued to bill. In 2012, the judge, basically, when my motions were heard to bring the children in for reunification and to restart this process, Michael Fasano went and met with the children, had them brought into his office by the mother, the alienator. While she was sitting outside their office, he spent 15 minutes with each one and concluded that they shouldn't be allowed to see me at all. I have no way to contact them. I'm not allowed to send emails, phone calls, Christmas cards, Christmas presents. I've been basically vanquished and made to disappear.
Thank you. You know, your time's been up for a little while, so if there's any more questions, thank you very much. I'm sorry, Mr. Weissmuller.
You said that the total bill for the guardian ad litem was $35,000 in 5 years. Did you submit a copy of that with your testimony, or do you intend to?
No, but I can forward it to the email address.
Okay. Did it include a breakdown of all of the stuff that he did? Is that
when I questioned him on certain things, like there was one time in court he testified he met with my children, but I could not find any time. I was looking specifically in the billing where he met with my children and solicited this testimony. It was not there. The hours, it was just, and then when I would make a payment to them, I would deliver cash to their office, and then they would send a bill and the payment wouldn't be in. They explained that the payment doesn't get applied until they actually deposit it, even though I was giving them cash.
okay? And in the 5 years, how many times roughly did you have court dates to go to?
Continuance after continuance, there was probably, I would say, 8 to 12 different court dates.
Okay.
Every time I would file a motion such as this to see my children or to have them brought in to see Dr. Krieger, since Carolyn Finley was out of business, it was blocked or a motion for contempt would be filed.
Okay,
And once the psychological evaluation was completed, Michael Fasano, the GAL, sat on that, and he never brought the results back to court. I had another attorney who wasn't retained get a copy for me from Dr. Krieger so I could hand deliver it into court with my motions, which the other side tried to object, but the judge finally accepted to get the results admitted. And that was 2012, and I don't have the resources or I don't know what to do.
the last parenting plan that you had in place? Because it sounds like you had a parenting plan, but then all of a sudden it's just been an order, but you're not operating under the old parenting plan at all, is that correct?
That's correct.
And there's
I used to have a shared physical custody. It was as close to 50% with a flexibility if the children had to go somewhere or be somewhere, but they were with me half a week. They had a home. All their toys, everything in the room just got ignored. They were just taken away. There was never any violence. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. It just made no sense. And if anything I thought that I did wrong, it was to trust that the system or justice would prevail.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.